Hello, everybody. Nigat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Again, we are featuring the 2v2 show match hosted by Dragon Archer. We have Consciously Eating and Sqrt of -1 playing with the red and the green pieces in the top left corner of City of Perils. Holy and Weird Rat, again, the dynamic duo, playing with the white and the blue pieces, bottom right-hand corner. Should be pretty exciting to see. So, game one, Weird Rat and Holy won a very long macro game. It was very close at some points. Definitely a lot of big fights. Definitely check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. Game two. Well, actually, I guess I shouldn't spoil it, but I won't say who won then if I'm telling you guys to go watch the previous videos. Game 2 was pretty interesting. It was a very modern opening in terms of how people play on I think it was en passant. Yeah, the chess looking map, and then Game 3 played on Ritual. That one had some very interesting strategies from Consciously. And here we go, Cities of Peril. A map that all four of these players are very, very familiar with. Typically, whenever you play a 2v2 map in just for fun in the casual lobbies here on Littlewargame, it's either going to be Cloud Kingdom or it's going to be City of Perils. So definitely a map that both players are used to. Joining the cast today with me, similar to those other two games, we have Mr. bScherm. Let's go ahead and introduce you.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's been really cool seeing these 2v2 games, especially with kind of the different stylistic play, right? Consciously kind of leaning into some creative, aggressive strategies, I'll say, as a synonym to another word that's a food item. Um, and yeah, excited to see here. You mentioned, Nika, that this is kind of a very commonly played map. What kind of play usually goes on here? Is it like mostly ground stuff, like lots of drop play? Like what's kind of the typical
So,
composition and strategy that the players focus on for this map?
so I would definitely say this is a lot more of an open map. So things like beast openings with lots of wolves is going to be pretty popular here. Like if we look at the main base, there's a lot of space in just this upper ledge. Into the expand, you'll notice that there's this ledge that's in between, like both players expand. There's so much space. All the ramps are really big. So during the early parts of the game, there is a lot of space for a lot of movement to occur. So this is one where we see raiders happen, but most of the time I would say wolves is very, very powerful here. Maybe even a little bit more than the raider. The raider gets its advantage when it is able to concentrate its its aggression in like one spot, and especially when it forces a response out of the opponent in that one place. With Cities of Peril, because it's so open, because you're able to move around in so many different places, raiders become less good because now there's lots of ways that we can get around the raiders, and then the main bases here are relatively even or easy to defend, as we can see when we're given an
Ooh,
example of Weird Rat and
Holy's Wolves. I really like this weird rat wolf combo that they had there. There was a second where Holy pulled away his wolves and kind of left a couple of the gats vulnerable. Uh, they got one. Let's see, they're now pushing into the top. Just for my own sake here, Nigat, what is like what are the things to focus on when you're radio micring? Like how do you like maximize it in those early battles of like Raider versus Wolf, even though that's kind of over now. I'd love to hear that.
So you're probably already familiar with it, just given your skill level. But there's something called pullback micro that the raiders are very good at doing. where you'll essentially hit the target, like you'll hit the opponent's unit, whether it be a wolf or anything, and then immediately after hitting it, you pull your raider back so that it doesn't take constant damage from the wolf. So you'll notice if we highlight this raider's stats, its attack speed is 0.1, which means that it attacks at every I forget how long it takes to attack. I mean, 0.1. It's like once every. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. For me, it feels like once every 2 or 3 seconds, the raider is able to get another attack. If we look at the wolf's attack speed, it's much higher at 1.5. So that means if the raider and the wolf are in constant contact with each other, the wolf is going to be attacking at a faster speed than the raider will be. So what you're doing is when you're pulling back those raiders, you're forcing the wolves to move instead of to attack. And you're only attacking when your raider can attack. And you're only taking damage when the raider is attacking as well. So a little bit of a pullback, kind of poorly explained, but just one of those concepts that we have in Littlewargame.
Another thing I noticed, Sqrt made his first expansion in what I would have guessed would have been his third. It didn't look like the bottom team really got to aggress much onto the top. Was there like a strategic reason you think he put it in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. So both players followed up with archers, and by the time they had arrived, by the time Weirdrat and Holy had arrived at the top players' bases here, there were about like eight archers, and that was enough to hold and defend against these positions. Archers do a really good job at defending. However, they are very bad at trading into wolves. You'll notice that the wolves do 10 damage per hit, archers do about 12, and they're relatively the same in terms of health. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your wolves on top of the archers, very expensive archers, by the way. You're trading gold efficiently, you're trying to kill all those archers, and then you're trying to jet a little bit. For a second there, it looked like it could have been game ending, but we do see that these soldiers are out, and these soldiers are very resilient against wolves. And now we see why archers are very good in terms of the defense, because they can get a lot of damage in while units are moving into or out of their attack zone. Weirdrat focusing down this airship so that the ballista doesn't have a lot of ability to move around. Both Consciously and Sqrt having acquired third bases at this point. Not so much for Holy at the moment. Weirdrat does have a third base, though.
Seeing how Consciously is just always surprising all of us in the best ways possible here. He's going into very heavy racks play here. Looks like Sqrt is also doing that, and it's going to be a double racks versus mech and beast. For Holy to be, I know he loves his wolves. For him to be effective against such heavy racks play, especially with a lot of soldiers coming out, how do you think he's going to fare against that? Like, does he absolutely need upgrades? Does he need to mix in some other units to be effective? What's Holy going to have to do here?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree. Like, Holy's gonna have to start thinking about his army composition, because it's not gonna currently, just wolf is not gonna hold up very well against archer soldier. In fact, both Sqrt and Consciously Eating might decide that they think they're ahead in terms of their army strength, and they could be going for a pretty heavy push here. Weirdrat has the mech catapults in the rear here, so he'll be able to get some good shots in. We'll see how this goes. But as far as Holy's army composition goes, like, what he can try to do is try to get some damage onto these units, because soldiers do not regenerate their health. So every point of damage that you get on one of these soldiers or one of these archers is going to stick forever. However, that is not the case for these wolves. So as much damage as you can do to these units, and while at the same time not losing your own, wolves will be very good. However, consciously eating, just moving forward with his soldiers, was able to snipe about 2 catapults, if I remember correctly. Catapults are going to fare very well against these archers, especially as they outrange the archers and do a little bit more damage, but we just got to be very careful that we don't lose all of our troops to these soldiers here. Wolves, again, moving forward, getting good trades on these archers, are taking a little bit of friendly fire from these catapults. Sqrt doing a really good job of kiting back. This is exactly what I was talking about, the pullback micro. So soldiers have a slower attack speed than the wolves, and essentially while the wolf is moving, they're not fighting. Soldiers gonna start making their way into this catapult line, doing a little bit more damage. Weirdrat, very smart with his gyrocraft, trying to pick off some reinforcements at the same time. But Holy, just with wolves at home, not really much to have here for defense. He is doing something that I was going to mention, which is where he is getting a snake charmer pit, or just snake charmer, that's all it's called. And he's starting to build snakes now, which will increase the amount of damage that his wolf composition can do, especially against soldiers. Snakes are very good in combination with wolves when they're dealing with soldiers here. However, defense upgrades help Rex a lot in those cases.
How well does a wolf snake, assuming equal upgrades or something, how well does wolf snake fare against soldier, archer? If the archers have the extra range, but the snakes have the faster attack speed, but then the soldiers are better than wolves. Like, how does that fare against each other? Exactly.
For a long time, like let's say from 2018 to like 2019, the response when a beast player played against a Rax player, the response was always to get initial map control by having wolves out, and then they would always go snakes, and then both players would always stay on snakes and wolves. Like, both players would always stay on soldiers, archer, and both would stay on like wolf snake. So it was really interesting to see like this highly mobile, highly like damage focused army play against something a little bit more consolidated, with just regular racks. This is especially when the priest was a lot more popular, because what we would see is Rax units taking big like huge engagements, where they would fight in priest, healing totems, but what the beast player was looking to do was get like these really big flanks. So it was always like this fight between healing totem and flanks. At the moment, we do see that he has those snakes coming up, so he is doing some damage here. Weirdrat moving forward with these catapult armies, this big mech army, and this unit, this catapult, is the big thing that changed the meta over the last couple of years. The amount of damage it's able to do in such a short amount of time, how effective it is against Rax armies is a really big deal, and that's why we see a lot of players in like the modern meta go for particularly mech-focused army. Weirdrat going for the stab here. He's deciding he wants this game to end quickly. We did see a lot of workers go down for Sqrt, currently at 23, where he was around that 30 worker count earlier. Holy also doing a really good job to pick off some of those outlining bases.
In the bottom right, Consciously has been really doing some magic, no pun intended, with maybe it was, with the mages. He was getting a lot of damage done on Weirdrat's workers. Weirdrat is now down to 17, which is probably pretty necessary because square root is down to 2. Oh, it looks like they GG'd.
They GG'd. So Weird Rat's push here in combination with Holy's harassment, really shutting this stuff down. Consciously losing this very expensive mage drop at the same time, but I'm sure he got a lot of damage in, killing a ton of workers there. Yeah, so we get a game 5. We're about to get a game 5. That's very exciting between both of these players. Here we go.